You guys, I just filmed like half of this video without lights on. Like I had like regular lights in my house. I didn't have like YouTube lights. So half of this video was dark, so we're having to take it again. But what's up you guys? Welcome back. Hopefully you're having a really good week. I've been asked this topic so many times. I mean, you guys really want to see this, and it's taken me a little bit to think about it and think back to my pregnancies and how they were different. Prison versus the free world, so we're gonna get into it. Also, I know this is different. I usually film over there, but I had to sit in a chair that's more comfortable because I hurt my back last week, and I mean, I literally didn't do anything to hurt it. I just slept wrong, and for some reason, it was just I was in massive pain because of it. So I need to sit in a chair with a pillow that's more comfortable, especially for this story time. I need to be calm. I need to be relaxed for this story time. So let's get into it. Smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, do all that YouTube stuff, help your girl out. And yeah, let's get into it here. So my first pregnancy was a shock, and honestly, when I found out I was pregnant with Micah, I was shocked, I was scared, I was in denial, and I had kind of been raised to think that pregnancy is the end of the world. And I know that sounds so weird. Let me explain. So I was kind of raised with the idea that pregnancy was like, oh no, oh my God, I can't believe you're pregnant. Like that's awful. Like your life is somehow over. And the reason why this is important is because it kind of dictated how I responded to being pregnant. And I come from a really poor town that if you have a kid really young, you get stuck there, or people tell you that you're stuck, or it's a lot harder to get out of that situation, which I understand. I mean, kids cost a lot of money, they're expensive, but they're an amazing blessing. And I didn't like associate blessing with pregnancy. I associated pregnancy with a lot of negative things, a lot of negative emotions, like them costing a lot of money, or you could get stuck in a bad situation, or whatever it is, or you need to be married to have a baby, you need to do it this way. And I'm a firm believer in everyone's life is different, everyone's journey is different, and whatever, I digressed. So my first experience was not good. I was in jail, I was terrified, I was in complete denial. I didn't know how to process, you're going to prison? That's normal. To me, it was normal to me in my life back then. And I'm not glorifying it, I'm not bragging about it, I'm just telling you my story. So prison was normal for me. But then you put pregnancy on top of it, and I was just like, how do I do that? Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to go to prison pregnant. And my first child was born while I was in prison, and that was traumatizing and horrible, and I don't discuss the details a lot. And that's really just because it's so emotional for me, and it's really difficult to hash out every single little detail. I did make a video on Christina Randall's channel. I will leave that in the description box below, because if I get too heavy into it, I'm gonna start crying and we're not gonna actually get to all of the details. So my first pregnancy, awful, traumatizing, horrible. I had her in prison. And when you have a child taken out of your arms when she's 2 days old and you're sent back to prison and you endure that trauma, now your brain, like, just to move on past it, your brain compartmentalizes so that you can put that trauma in a box and move forward. And that's really what I did. And I am one of the lucky ones that was able to fight for custody and win. So I now have full custody of my daughter, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful for her. So fast forward 4 years. Reese and I find out we're pregnant, and literally, you guys, like, if he acted any other way, I probably would have broke, but he was so great. So I felt like I was pregnant, but I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. Like, I'm sure I'm just late. Like, I'm sure it's fine. So I go and I take a couple of tests, and I found out I was pregnant, and now I'm like shocked. I remember like taking the test and thinking like, this is gonna take 5 minutes. Like, it's gonna be the longest 5 minutes ever. I peed on that test, you guys, and it like turned like instantly. And I was like, that was the fastest test ever. Like, oh my God, I must really be pregnant, right? So I was waiting for Reese to come home. I had to wait a few hours for him to come home, and I'm pacing in the house, and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to tell him. Like, I don't know how he's gonna react to it. My mind is racing. And at that point, we'd only been dating for 2 years, I believe. So I'm panicked. Now keep in mind, my first pregnancy was full of traumatic events, and it was not a good, happy pregnancy. I didn't have a baby shower. I didn't have any of the things that you have when you are pregnant, right? I couldn't get my cravings. I couldn't do anything. I was trapped in a cell for 6 months, and then I went to prison. And then I had her in prison. So that was my only experience with pregnancy at that point. So I'm like pacing back and forth in our house, waiting for Reese to get home, and I hear the garage door open, and I thought, like, my heart's racing out of my chest. I don't know what he's gonna say. I don't know how he's gonna handle it. And he walks in the kitchen. I will never forget this. I'm sitting on the countertop, or maybe just standing there by the counter, and he looks at me and he's like, what? Because I'm like panicked, right? I'm panicked at this moment. I was crying. I was like, I didn't know what to say to him, but I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was so calm about it, like so accepting of it, like, okay. And I'm like crying, you guys, because my memories were really bad from my first pregnancy. So I'm just like crying. I probably cried for 3 days. I don't even know how I didn't freak him out, but I'm just like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to have a newborn. I've never had a newborn. And it's basically like new mom syndrome all over again. I'm terrified of the pain. I'm terrified of not being good enough. I'm terrified of not being a good mom, or not being able to handle the trauma of labor. And for some reason, I just had like this mental block about it because my first pregnancy was traumatic, right? So it took me a few months to even realize, like, this is gonna be okay. Like, this is gonna be a beautiful experience for you. When you endure trauma like that, it just changes you. And for a long time, I didn't see, like, you're being blessed. You're being blessed. Micah changed your life, but Riley's gonna change your heart. And when that happened, you guys, like, it just changed my perspective on everything. And anyway, let me back it up a little bit more. I'm sorry if this is all over the place. I'm sorry if this is confusing, but this is literally how my brain works. Like, my brain's all over the place. My first 2 months of pregnancy with Riley, I had really, really, really bad morning sickness. So I would have to lay in bed, and Reese would have to bring me Sprite just so I could get out of bed. I mean, it was really bad. I'm sure other women have it worse, but like, I felt like crap for 2 months, and it was just awful. I was throwing up all the time. It was really bad. And with Micah, I didn't experience that. I think the world was like, you're enduring so much stuff already. We're not going to give you too much morning sickness. I don't remember it being bad with Micah, but it was really bad with Riley. And I want to say around 6-7 months, that's when I really started to get excited. That's when things just changed. My mind just changed, and I started to really feel like, this is different. This is special. This is a blessing. This is different. Relax. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. So Reese's sister was so nice and threw us a baby shower. And I remember kind of being just, I don't know, just not really wanting a baby shower. I didn't want the attention. I didn't want the gifts. I just wanted to deal with it in my own way because I struggled, right? So I struggled with Micah, and it was really difficult. And I'm so grateful that his sister was like, girl, no, you need to have a baby shower. And she threw the baby shower for us because we have amazing pictures, and the family came together to celebrate this new life. And I'm so grateful for his family for being there because I didn't know what to do. Like, I was so scared, and they saw it for what it was, an amazing blessing, a new addition to the family. And it took me a minute to get there, right? So I remember going into labor with Micah, and it was traumatic. There's cops in my face. I needed an ambulance. It was horrible. I was alone. I didn't have anyone. Well, when I went into labor with Riley, it was the like smoothest, most easy, most peaceful, most amazing birth ever. So not to get graphic or anything, but it was a Friday morning, and I remember like thinking the day, like, oh, this would be a good day for a birth. Like, that would be a good birthday. The 24th was actually my due date. So I remember like, oh, the 24th, that would be a good birthday. So I woke up and I was kind of in pain. I had Braxton Hicks contractions all throughout my pregnancy with Riley. And this morning it felt like Braxton Hicks, where my stomach contracted and it got really tight like in a ball, and it looked really weird and gross, and then it would relax. And I thought it was just one of those mornings where, oh, I was just gonna have Braxton Hicks contractions, which I had the entire pregnancy, right? So I was getting up and getting ready to go to my usual doctor's appointment. And I get there and I'm waiting, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. Like, I just got really hungry because my body is now focused on labor. So my body's really busy and I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry. I almost left and skipped that doctor's appointment just so I can go get some food because I was so hungry. But I didn't, I stayed, and the doctor checked me out. I was 39 weeks and, I guess I was to term since it was my due date. I guess I was to term. So I was 40 weeks, around there, I don't know. I remember that being my due date though. So the doctor said, you're 5 centimeters dilated, you're in labor. Guys, I was not in pain. So I'm like, what? Are you sure? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not ready. And he said, last week you were dying to have this baby. Like, cause I was so uncomfortable, you know? All moms do that. You're like, oh, get out of me. I'm so uncomfortable. And then when you go into labor, you're like, what? I'm not ready. And you get nervous, right? And that's what I did. I was so nervous, but I also excited. And I was in zero pain. No pain. Like the Braxton Hicks contraction didn't hurt, didn't feel like pain. It just felt like uncomfortable. So I called Reese and I'm like, you have to get here. You have to get here right now. I'm in labor. I'm in labor. And the doctor said, oh, I'm sure you have 4 or 5 hours to get here. And I'm like, he has 20 minutes. Like he needs to be here as fast as he can get here. So, Reese goes and leaves work and his boss is really nice and texted me saying congratulations, and he goes home to get my hospital bag and then is going to the hospital to meet me there. And he told me later that he was so nervous that he was eating ice cream in the kitchen for a few minutes because he was so nervous. So then he gets to the hospital, you guys. It's so cute. He locked his keys in the car because he was just like so frantic and nervous. So not only did he stop and get ice cream, but then he locked his keys in the car because he was so nervous. It was just the most adorable thing. And I remember like the nurses were getting me all hooked up and I was getting ready to have a baby. No pain at all, right? Still no pain. About an hour has gone by since they told me I was in labor. I'm still in no pain. And Reese walks in and I see him and he smiles at me and I smile back. And I remember like just thinking, I'm so blessed to have you. Like I looked at him and I thought, you're just the most handsome man in the world. Like, I don't know, you have those little moments with your man or your woman or whatever, and you're like, wow, I love you in this moment. Well, when he walked in, I was so happy to see him because it just signified to me that I wasn't alone. And when he walked in, it's like he like glided in. It sounds so corny and stupid, but I looked at him and I was just so grateful that he was there. And he came over to the side of the bed, he's holding my hand, he said, are you ready? And I was just like, of course not, right? And about an hour goes by and I start to feel pain and they ask if I want an epidural. I was like, yup, because I'm scared, right? So my first epidural with Micah, the doctors didn't do it properly, and for some reason I could feel things on one side and not the other. I'm sure it's because I wasn't sitting straight and it just didn't take right. Also, the healing process was a lot harder. My back felt really horrible, and because the hospital had kept me, or the COs when I was having Micah kept me in bed for 2 days. I couldn't get up and walk around. The process of healing was just terrible. Birth was really painful with Micah. With Riley, the epidural was perfect. The nurses and doctors and the anesthesiologist, perfect. They did it so great. I mean, obviously the needle hurt, but he was like the most calm guy ever. And I'll never forget it. He's like, okay, I'm gonna touch your back. Like, what? What is he saying? And he's like, are you ready? And he was like that, like talking like that. And I'm like, what are you saying? Like freaking out, right? But he did a really good job and I had no pain. And now let's rewind it again. With Micah, I didn't know when I needed to push. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel anything. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel that I had to push. Nothing felt natural to me. I was in a complete panic. I was so scared. So with Riley, everything happened so naturally and so easily, and so, not naturally because I did have an epidural, but it felt more natural because I knew when to push and it felt so like my body's doing what it's supposed to do. And I was a lot more calm, I was relaxed. Reese being there really helped me stay calm. And she came out a few hours later. I guess I was in labor like all morning, but my doctor's appointment was at 10 a.m. Riley was born at 3 p.m. Didn't really break a sweat, only had to push a couple of times, and it was just a very nice, simple, easy birth, right? So I remember Reese walking over to Riley for the first time, and the nurses said to Riley, happy birthday, Riley, and Reese teared up a little bit, and it was just a really special moment. So they bring Riley over to me, and when I saw her, I just knew, like, I just knew that I was gonna be okay. I just was so overjoyed. I was just like on cloud 9. I can't even explain it. I was just so excited that I completely forgot Reese was there, and I'm staring at her and I'm obsessed with her, and she wants to latch, and I'm just so like amazed that this little person is mine. I just made a human. Like, I am a superwoman. I make humans, okay? Like, so that's how I was feeling, and I was just overly joyed. Apparently I had held her for a little too long, and Reese said, "Are you gonna let me hold her?" Like, I didn't even realize that he hadn't even held her yet, right? He's like, "You're hugging her. Can I hold her?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yes, you can." I forgot he was there. I did it on my own last time, so I don't even know how I forgot that, but when I saw Riley's little face, I forgot anyone else existed. I forgot there was even a world. So we stayed in the hospital overnight, and the nurses, like, they're great, they're amazing, they're so hardworking. I love nurses. If you're a nurse, you're amazing, you're a superhero. But when you have a baby, the nurses will come in and like constantly check you. And I know it's their job, but like all you want to do is sleep. And the nurses kept bothering me and like taking my blood pressure. And there was one moment where I'm sleeping and Riley's kind of like right here, like in my, like sleeping on the bed with me. And a nurse came in and like went to grab my arm without like trying to wake me up first. And she went to grab my arm to take my blood pressure, and she was trying not to wake me up. So she was being really nice, but I was like I jumped up and I snapped, and I'm like, flashback to guards taking Micah, and I was just like, "What?" And she's like, "Can I get your blood pressure?" And I said, "No, get out. And I like had to take a deep breath. I had to look around. I had to like, I mean, I was scared, right? So I had to like realize where I am, and I saw Reese sleeping on the couch that they had next to us, and I was like, you're okay. This is not the same. You're okay. So we got to go home with her the next day, and Reese's family came over, and his grandmother met Riley. She is no longer with us, and losing her was really hard, but she did get to see Riley for the first almost 2 years of her life. So that was great, and I'm so grateful for all the time that we had with Nan, because she was so amazing and so kind and so real and so amazing. I miss her every single day. So Reese's grandmother got to meet her, and his mom came over, and the whole family got to meet her, and it was just a really great thing. And I was so overjoyed, and it felt so different. Like, I remember leaving the hospital thinking, like, you're gonna let me take her home? Like, I don't even know what to do. You're gonna let me leave with this person? Like, I don't know what to do. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like taking Riley home was perfect. Like it was, like it was extremely easy. Like I was on cloud 9 the whole time. No, it was really difficult. So I have to keep it 100% real here. I love my babies. I'm obsessed with my babies. I would do anything for those girls. I would not be here without them. However, it was really difficult to juggle a 5-year-old and a newborn, or I'm sorry, a 4-year-old and a newborn. I didn't quite know how to handle everything. I was overwhelmed. Also, I had postpartum depression, and that was the first moment where I was just, I was overtired. I had postpartum depression, and Riley had colic, and then she had acid reflux, and it was really hard because she cried nonstop, and I would have to carry her around in this little baby backpack so the acid reflux wasn't bothering her, and she was calm. So she basically cried for like a year straight, you guys, because even after like the colic went away and acid reflux got solved, then she started to teethe. So, I mean, she was literally crying for an entire year, and I just remember being so overwhelmed and then feeling guilty because like you're supposed to be really happy with a newborn, but I just want to like destigmatize postpartum depression. And if you have struggled with it, you are normal. It is a normal thing. Our hormones are all out of whack, and I don't want any moms out here watching this to beat themselves up over it. I had it. I told Reese about it. I told Reese when I was struggling, and I got help. He was very quick to be like, what do you need? And that was just so helpful, you know? So I made it through that first year. And then after the first year, it was kind of like everything fell into place. Like we figured out the kid, and we figured out how to juggle 2 kids and give them both the attention they deserve. And that is always a struggle for parents, you know, but we learned little things that Micah could do to help us. And Micah would get the diapers, or she'd wash Riley's little hair in the bathtub or whatever. And she's just been an amazing big sister. And I'm so grateful to have Riley for Micah too. Like I'm obsessed with Riley, but for Micah, like seeing them interact together, siblings just have this bond, and I'm so grateful that I was able to give Micah a sibling so that she could experience that. Is it always all fun and games? Absolutely not, because they fight all the time. But the bond they have is amazing, and they love each other and they're best friends, and I just love watching their relationship bloom because it's so beautiful. Oh God, it's gonna make me cry. I heard Micah a couple of days ago. Riley has been potty trained for a few months now, but Micah heard Riley say, I have to go pee pee, and Micah goes, okay, sweetheart, come on. I mean, she was like acting like me. She's like, okay, sweetheart, come on, let's go. And she helped Riley to the bathroom, and I thought, oh my God, like you're the sweetest kid ever. Like Micah is such a good big sister, and just watching her interact with her sister and help her sister is so amazing. So I hope this video wasn't like too rambly and too all over the place. So I'm gonna end it here, and I just want to say, if you have struggled with postpartum depression, or you're currently struggling with postpartum depression, please reach out for help. Ask those around you. Sometimes just setting your baby down in a safe place, crib, rocker, or not rocker, crib, bassinet, whatever, as long as the baby is safe, walk out of the room, let the baby cry for a couple of minutes. I know this is like whatever, but walk out of the room just for a few minutes, get your headspace, calm down, get some fresh air, and then go back. So I've heard of a lot of stories where women are sleep deprived and they're exhausted, or they fall asleep on the baby, or they get angry, and just walk away for a few minutes if you're dealing with colic. It is very overwhelming and stressful, but you can make it through, and absolutely reach out for help if you are struggling with that. So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I explained it good enough, and I will see you in my next one. Stay safe, stay sober. I love you guys so much. Bye.